Amy, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm pretty excited about this podcast because you sent me some information about Sonic Pi, and so I jumped in this morning and downloaded Sonic Pi and started playing around with it. And I found it really cool because I've never really had the patience to do any kind of coding. I took a coding class in high school. It was a C++
Hmm.
class, and I'm like, wow, this is really boring. Like you have to do
Yeah.
all of this work to get like one little output and do one little equation or algorithm, and I'm just like, man, this is a lot of work for not a, like this isn't that cool.
Yep.
Um, but I'm really into music. You can see I got a guitar behind me. I like playing around with music. I'm in this band, so being able to, and what Sonic Pi is, and I'll let you explain it a little bit more. But uh, basically, it's using a coding language to make music, essentially. And so playing around with that was fun because now I'm like experimenting with the different numbers and making different sounds and stuff like that. Um,
Totally.
so thanks for putting that on my radar, and I'm really excited to dig into it. So, uh,
Yeah,
how,
absolutely.
tell me how did you come across Sonic Pi, and what has it done for you?
Yeah, so Sonic Pi is like when you open it up, it says Sonic Pi, the live coding synth for everyone. And I think it really is for everyone because of what you just said. You get instant feedback. As soon as you type stuff in and run it, you hear it back right away, which is pretty cool. I found I stumbled across Sonic Pi last fall when I had just started working as an AV engineer at MSOE and found out that I was actually going to have to start doing some of the symbol-based coding for configuring like audio-visual equipment in classrooms and stuff.
Sorry, did
Um,
you say symbol based or
Symbol, yeah.
symbol?
So
Okay.
it's not you don't like type the language. It's not like Sonic Pi or like other coding languages. It's all, I guess, I don't know, I probably don't need to define symbol-based coding,
Okay.
but but yeah, so it's for room configurations and stuff like that. That's what I had to start getting into, but without a background on how coding works at all, or like the structures of that, I wasn't sure where to start other than uh, just like resources through the specific things that I had to learn. Um, and like you mentioned, I had a very similar experience with that language as you did with C++, where it was like, wow, this is boring, and it takes me all day to find out that the code that I'm running that turns one light on doesn't do, it doesn't work. So I needed to find a way to learn how like the logic works, because I think that unless you already have some experience knowing how like the syntax of these different languages uh, comes into play, like it's kind of hard to know where to start. So I'm not, I don't remember exactly how I came across it. I think I saw an article, or maybe somebody posted about it on Reddit or something. Um, and I downloaded it on a whim, and I was like, within the first day, I was coding songs and like, oh, this all makes sense. And it actually, I can apply the same, trains of thought and logic and stuff to the coding that I have to use at work. And I kind of used it as an educational tool for myself first, and then started to realize the kind of the creative potential behind using Sonic Pi as an actual instrument rather than just a way to learn how to code.
Yeah, that's cool. And I started to look up Sam Aaron, who invented this software, and he does these live coding
Yes,
DJ things. And I don't know, have you experienced any of these
those
recently?
are those are so cool. I'm working my way up to being good enough, or perceiving myself to be good enough to do that kind of thing. I love what he does though with his live streams. He's a big influence on me creatively, as well as, you know, being the creator of this awesome platform.
Cool. And so how has Sonic Pi, like once digging into it from like a musical mindset, I see that you have a few guitars in the background here. For those that are listening to the audio, we do have the video version, and you can go to podcast.cyphercon.com, podcast.cyphercon.com. And you can check out there'll be a link to the video if you want to check out what we're talking about. And we'll use Sonic Pi an example. So we'll kind of go through like the code and look at a little bit of what it's doing in a minute here. But tell me a little bit about, you know, approaching it from a musician standpoint, and then how you learned and how that applied to some of the, you know, the symbol-based coding that you had to do for your AV position at MSOE.
Totally. So, man, I have a background as like a DIY musician, playing in lots of, you know, small punk bands, tiny venues, house shows, stuff like that. And I think that I kind of approach almost everything in my life with that same mentality.
That hacker mentality.
Exactly. It kind of, I was thinking about that this morning, how I'm like, do I consider myself a hacker? Maybe, I don't know. But then, you know, like the DIY music culture has, you know, the same approach as
Right.
like the maker culture and the hacker culture and all of that. And it's like, are we just hacking the music industry in DIY? You know, is that that's kind of a way of looking at it.
Yeah. Well, I totally look at, you know, hacking as like a way to creatively solve problems, right? It's like,
Totally.
okay, so I want this goal. Like, how do I get there? You know, you try the front door, the back door, the side door, the window, and you eventually get there through this creative process, you know. And some people have like, no, I have to take this route, and that's the only way that I can go. And hackers are like, no, we're trying everything.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
And that's awesome. And I think that totally like plays into kind of the experiences that I've had in DIY. But yeah, as a musician approaching Sonic Pi, I guess kind of another reason I was interested in it was because I was trying to get into, you know, drum machines and more synth-based music and stuff like that. And you know, a big reason why Sonic Pi came before I started diving into like, you know, modular synths or different kinds of drum machines, or even different like production platforms. Sonic Pi is free, and modular synths are extremely expensive, and drum machines are very expensive. But in this one little window on your computer, you can make many different kinds of genres, tons of different song structures with like this crazy level of flexibility and accessibility that is really hard to find in even, you know, hardware, which is cool. So I think the fact that it, you know, was free was a huge reason why I was able to start making music with it right away, and see how much creative potential exists on that platform. So I mean, other than like accessibility, the way it kind of changed the way that I approached writing songs when I write songs in Sonic Pi. I'm always very melodically driven, and I'm always about, you know, the lyrics and what the song is about. And you know, in the past, that's how I have approached writing songs. Usually I write the melody and words in my head before I start even thinking about instrumentation. But on this platform, it kind of it forced me to think more about like the layers of sound and the like the synthesis. And I mean,
Sure.
I learned the word synthesis from from learning about Sonic Pi, you know, and it kind of opened my mind to the fact that any sound that you make you are able to completely specify all of the parameters. And while it can be, you know, a little bit more slow moving, I think that it's working with Sonic Pi has kind of shifted my creative focus a little bit away from how I used to approach songwriting and pushed it much further down more of a sound designer route.
Sure. So you're looking more at like the structure of the sounds themselves versus, you know, the having a melody, having some lyrics, and having a tune in your head that you're putting out there.
Yeah, and like kind of how can you construct like this soundscape, and what is a soundscape, and like what is it kind of allows you to expand the scope of your music from just the song that you're listening to and what your song is about and what you're talking about, and it allows you to kind of expand things into a whole world of what the sounds that you're making can be.
Sure. And one of the things that got me excited about it is right now I'm working on this project. It's like a VR project where it's kind of like a meditation type thing. And I wanted to have some kind of ambient music in the background. And one of my friends has a synth. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll get my buddy to let me use a synth to make some weird sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw this. I'm like, oh, I could use this. Like,
yep, exactly.
I'm gonna use this to make these crazy weird sounds as we're like doing this like VR meditation thing.
Oh, that's so cool.
So yeah, so I was getting really excited about it. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. Because like you said, synths and drum kits and like, you know, these drum machines and all this stuff are super expensive, and this is a free program, and it's pretty simple to use. And there's like, I like the tutorial. They kind of take you through like, this is, you know, play around with these things, play around with this, and then you kind of get a sense for what different things do. And then also I like the elements that you can kind of get a sense for what different elements bring into the space and like what kind of feel these different sounds have, you know.
Totally.
And so I like that a lot. So I totally know what you're talking about. So cool. Well, should we so you sent me, so we were trying just before this, we were trying to figure out if we could play it, you know, we're doing this through Zoom, and so you sent me some code for something that you made, and I'm able to play it through my computer, and it picks up on my mic, and it sounds decent enough so that we can kind of give you guys a sense of what this sounds like live. So I'm gonna just go ahead and share my screen and pull up the code. All right, so here's the code that you sent me. And so this is Sonic Pi. And for those of you, again, if you're listening and you want to see this, you can go and find this on YouTube if you go to the website and find the show notes. So yeah, so this is Sonic Pi, and I'll just run through what you made, and then let's talk about it. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
All right, here we go. Cool.
Yeah, so that clip is a part of a song that I'm working on called Participation Trophy. And I guess do you want me to talk about the
how did you so maybe let's start here, but like how do you approach a song like this? Like what was let's start there.
Yeah, you know, usually I have a few depending on what I'm working on, I approach writing in Sonic Pi in different ways. in this song specifically, this is a part of a song that I also play other instruments along to in the recording. And this is just a part of that, like, of that section. So when I go into a song like this where I already have a bigger structure in mind for it, I know what I want it to sound like and I know what I'm going for. So when I approach it more intentionally like this, I usually start with the backbeat, which is the top line, the BB. And that's, you know, just my kick drum and my snare sound that I use throughout. And I build on that. For this song, I had the chord progression in mind, so I already knew the chords that I wanted to incorporate. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can see, oh, I guess those are that's the hi-hat. So that's all the beat stuff at the top. Usually I do drums first and come up with like the beat that I want, and then add the melodic and harmonic stuff later. The way that this is structured altogether is it's just one big loop. So everything is a live loop that loops through. You can get a lot more fancy than this, and you can have threads that, you know, play certain sections at some points and kind of do different things with it at different points in the song.
You said BB is backbeat. So I see.
Yeah.
Here we have, for example, sync BB. What
exactly.
What does the sync one mean?
So sync, that just syncs everything to that first line of code.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so basically this entire clip is just a loop that I created in Sonic Pi.
And then how does it work for like the measures? This is something I was trying to figure out is, so you have a live loop here, you have a live loop here, and so you hit run, and so that's like time 0. And then how does it know that, like, I noticed that I think sleep had something to do with it when I was messing around with it. But.
Yeah, so the timing in that, I think it's based off of like seconds. So 0.5 would be like a half a second.
Okay.
Within up at the top, I defined the BPM for this.
Okay.
I think it's the seconds relative to the BPM.
Gotcha.
You don't have to do it twice. That's a typo, but you should only need to have used BPM once. But
gotcha. So that sets like, so that's your beats per minute, and so then this is like how many seconds, or I should say, relative to that, the sleep time is kind of putting in those intervals, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. If you don't define this, does it have a default one?
I think the default is 120.
Gotcha. Cool. Cool. So that's a little bit about, I guess, the times, but yeah, this is a really, so what does AY mean?
You can name your loops whatever you want them to be.
You just
so I like typed out ABC.
I gotcha. Okay.
Sometimes, so the one labeled prog is chord progression. The bow synth is that bow synth that you heard, little D.
Is there a library in here of like all of the sounds that they have?
Yes. If you go down in the lower left-hand corner where it says Lang, it gives
down here.
Synth FX and Lang all define everything that you need to know.
Dang, there's a lot of stuff in here.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
And I'm definitely still in the beginner's phase of it all. So there's so much logic in here that I think you can do a lot of really cool stuff with, that I'm still tapping into myself.
Cool.
Actually, in examples, you can see some pretty cool. That they have examples of different levels of code.
Gotcha. This is so cool. I love this.
It is. And gosh, that example section makes it so easy to figure out, like, okay, like I get that that these words are defined as this in this language, but so what? What do you do with it? I have been able to get unstuck from a lot of things in that example section.
Cool. So if someone wanted to start doing this, is there any kind of tips that you would say about, how to jump in and do this?
Yeah.
I know for me, it was pretty simple to just start and go through the tutorial right here in the bottom is pretty great. And so I was just like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then it just tells you like right in here, like here's what to do. And
it's so well designed. It's so cool. Definitely go through the tutorial first. It has everything you need to know to get started and beyond. But once you do make your way through the tutorial, Me Hack It is actually, there's a thing called Me Hack It, and some of the tutorials are embedded in this tutorial, but there's more on their website.
What's Me Hack It?
I think it's a coding organization that they just put together a bunch of really, really well designed training tools for this program. I think it's kind of geared towards a younger audience, but yeah.
So that's a website that has some more tutorials on this?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. And all of the resources, as well as a really cool community of educators, musicians, coders, hackers, anybody that uses Sonic Pi and loves it. There's a Discord group for it. It's formatted a little bit weird.
If you just send it to me, I'll put it in the show notes. So then cool. if you want to find it, go to the website. You can find it in the show notes to find where that Discord server is. Cool. Awesome. So it's a pretty good community of folks in there helping each other out.
Awesome. Totally. And literally anytime I like post about Sonic Pi or use it, or, I'm like, I put a new song out with this, you get like tons of people from around the world like that are so supportive, and it's really cool.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Anything else you want to say about this? What does pan mean? Now I'm just like looking at this stuff because like I'm trying to figure it out. And now that I have you on here, I'm like, tell me some stuff.
Pan is just like the left right stereo stuff.
Okay.
So zero's in the middle, negative is left, and positive numbers are right.
Okay. And mix, that's one that I just figured out. It's like kind of like the percentage that it actually mixes with.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of like volume.
Yeah. What's release?
Release is how long it takes for the sound to end, basically. So longer release, the sound is longer.
Gotcha. And then sleep, when it says sleep 8, does that mean it's like 8 measures or something like that?
It's like the seconds. It's
the seconds.
Yep.
Gotcha. Huh. Cool. Well, yeah, anything else you want to say about this? Otherwise, I think I'll stop the share and we can dig into some other stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, other than the fact that it's super fun, it's literally so easy to get started with. So if you're into music and you want to learn coding, or you're just into music, or you're a coder and you want to like experiment with making some different things with what you know, try it out because it's awesome.
Sweet. Cool. And so you were going to, you actually programmed a bunch of music that was going to be at CypherCon, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So, yeah, tell me a little bit about like, because you were going to do a talk at CypherCon too, right?
Yep. Yeah. So the talk was more geared towards like talking about what Sonic Pi is, how you can use it. I think it's such a great educational tool, so I really hope that people that are educators, that are either music educators or computer science educators, find this and use it in their classes and stuff. but yeah, so the talk was going to be more of a demonstration, kind of how we went through it today. But the songs that I wrote for CypherCon, it's a collection of like 10 different songs that are more ambient. They're not released yet. Maybe we'll do it next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we will. Yeah, so with those, I took a much less structured approach to the actual writing, which was so much fun. Because I'm not like that as a person. I'm a to-do list kind of person. But being able to approach the songwriting without having a clear idea of what I wanted the end product to sound like when I started, you know, you can go into the code and start typing things and then hear it and be like, okay, this is really cool, and I think this would sound cool with this, and then all of a sudden you've built this really cool like sonic landscape, you know.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to hear it next CypherCon. Let's get that music out there. Hell yeah. So cool. And then I also just kind of I checked out your blog a little bit, and you have like a whole field guide for audio engineering and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is something that I've been looking for because I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm slowly like getting a little better. I got this microphone. It's nothing fancy, but
there you go. That's awesome. Awesome.
Little mic going on so that now my voice isn't as crappy as it was. But, tell me a little bit about the audio engineering stuff that you've been up to and kind of your journey there.
Yeah, totally. So I'm an audio engineer and recording engineer. I went to school to do that. That's always been my passion. Has never been my full-time job, but has always been my passion. But I currently do work out of the Wire and Vice recording studio in Tosa, which is just a beautiful place. Lots of really, really great Milwaukee music has been created there, and beyond Milwaukee too. And I, before that, worked out of a studio called the Workshop, which is unfortunately no longer a studio, but it was such a great place. Now it's called Stillwave Recordings, and it's still awesome, but it's different people running it. And yeah, I mean, I love recording bands. I love recording any kind of music. That's actually kind of how I got into making music, was through needing something to record, you know?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Cool. Awesome. So you said like needing something, like you're like, okay, we have this song, we want to record it. How do I do that? Is that what you mean? Like that's how it came out?
I mean, more so like when I was in college, you have free total access to, a super nice recording studio. But if you don't have any music to record, what are you doing? So part of the reason why I started getting into bands, it's kind of one of those things where part of the reason I got into playing in bands was so that I would have content to actually record, to learn how to record and to kind of hone it in a little bit.
Okay.
But then I also kind of got into recording so I could record my own music.
Gotcha. Yeah, cool. Awesome. So it's like a chicken or the egg situation.
Exactly.
Kind of like both at the same time.
Yep, for sure.
Like I want this and I want this. So.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And I think before we started recording, you mentioned that you do like the audio engineering for a podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Podcast?
It's a podcast called Interning 101, with Emily White is the host. She's an awesome music and entertainment and like sports manager, who wrote a book by the same name, Interning 101, and did a great podcast about that. That podcast wrapped, but we're in pre-production for a podcast based on new book, which is about how musicians can create or how musicians can collect all revenue streams and basically actually sustain themselves as musicians
awesome.
professionally.
I'm gonna check that out. That sounds
You should
cool.
definitely. The book is already out, so if you want a link, I can send it to you.
Yeah, please do. Please do. That's one of my goals, is to become a paid musician. So any
That's
tips
awesome.
on that? So
Me too.
Cool. And so in doing, and I'm asking this selfishly because I have a podcast and I edit it and record it and like do all the stuff for it. And I've been doing things in Audacity. That's kind of like, I'll take this and then put it in Audacity and I'll add like, an intro. I got like an intro song, an outro song, stuff like that. How do you do the recording? What kind of technology do you use?
Yeah, so I work completely remote. Emily's in New York, so she does the physical recording. But we set her up with just the standard blue USB Yeti mic. And I think it depends on what she's actually recording, because she's also not a professor, but an instructor, and sometimes she'll use her talks or recordings from class and stuff like that and incorporate that into the podcast. So the way that the production happens kind of depends on the environment that she's recording in, but usually it's a Blue Yeti mic into Audacity, and then she sends me those files and I edit it all down. I use Pro Tools just because that's what I am most familiar with.
Pro Tools? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. I like Pro Tools for like spoken word audio editing, and I like Ableton for music editing.
So does she have guests on the podcast, or is it just her talking?
Yep. Nope. She has guests. I actually am drawing a blank on the program that she uses to record the phone interviews, though.
Okay. Yeah, I just started doing the Zoom thing because I've been taking the videos and putting them up on YouTube too.
Nice.
Because sometimes it's fun to show. Like today, we showed some of the the code from Sonic Pi, which is
for sure
kind of cool to do some of that stuff. But yeah, I'm always looking for new things to try out. I've tried Zencaster. That's one that I've been using.
Okay.
And that seems to work pretty well.
Yeah.
Unless sometimes there's like a thing where it won't want to because the nice thing about it is it'll upload from both your side and the interviewer's side, so that you can you can dial up or dial down someone's voice if you need to.
Totally.
With Zoom, it's all one, and I can apply compression and stuff to it, and it makes it's pretty good. But there's always room for improvement, right? So.
Yeah, I think we started with Zencaster and ended up having some of those upload issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So what projects are you working on now? Where can people find your work?
Yeah, so I am currently working, I released music right now under a name, under June Gloom, and you can find me on Bandcamp under June Gloom WI, for music and stuff. For recording and any kind of audio engineering and the field guide for the SoundMind audio zine, all of that can be found on my website, which is just Amy Up the Grove at just amyupthegrove.com.
Cool. Awesome. And if people want to get in touch with you, are you like on Twitter or anything like that?
Yep. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all just Amy Up the Grove.
Amy Up the Grove. All right, cool. And so you said June Gloom. Now, what's the significance of June Gloom? Why did you choose that name?
A long time ago, I went to California and I learned about the weather pattern called June Gloom, which is in June. It gets really gloomy on the West Coast. So I've always thought that would be a great band name. And the kind of music I make is, it tends to be kind of bright and sunshiny sounding, but also very sad. So I, yeah, so
Cool.
that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
I used to live in Oregon, and that's I remembered it was gloomy all year except for like July to September. And like then it was just beautiful, you know, it was just
Oh man.
gorgeous. But yeah, it was like, I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't, and I just had a bike. So I got sick of riding my bike in the rain all the time too.
Oof.
So
Oh
everything's
my
just
gosh.
wet most of the year. But then it's just beautiful in the summertime. So
Totally, totally.
yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Amy.
Absolutely.
Any last thoughts, any final wisdom you want to impart on our audience?
Oh man, just keep trying cool things.
Yeah, keep
Make
trying
cool
cool.
stuff.
Yeah, make cool stuff. All right, I love it. All right, awesome, Amy. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time,
You
and
bet. Thanks so much for having me.
I look forward to listening to your music.
Oh, thanks, you too.
All right. Oh wait.